Welcome to Peaceful Warrior Yoga. And one of the things I like to do with my students is simply ask them what they'd like to work with at the beginning of the class. And today's request is to work with the hamstrings and the breath. So sometimes it can be working with a system of the body, the neuromuscular system, which is very common in our practice. It can be to do with the respiratory system, the breathing. And these both impact the nervous system, and the nervous system really is that electrical system in the body that informs us and gives us feedback, talks to the immune system. So one of the amazing things is when we work on one system, we're actually impacting all these other systems in the body. So we're going to start with breathing today. I want you to find a comfortable seated position with the pelvis slightly tilted forward. You could be kneeling or sitting. You could be sitting in a chair if you prefer. Palms resting on thighs, face up. So the back of the hands on the thighs or lap. Now think about the shape that you've created for your breath. The shape of the body, so the posture of the body is often thought to be very influential on the way we breathe. And the way we can test this is simply if we hunch up, just grab yourself and hunch up and lean forward. And you'll notice that the breathing mechanism changes automatically. So just hold that hunched position forward. We would call this postural misalignment. And it tends to force the breath into a panting type mode, blocking the airway. Shallow breath, upper respiratory. Now if you slowly flower upwards, allow the shoulders to come back and even lean back and drop the head and look up to the ceiling and bring the head back, a different kind of breath emerges. Still challenging to breathe with a narrower airway. But it tends to be a fuller breath into the chest. Not so much into the belly, which is a euphemism, of course. We don't breathe into the belly. So let's come back to that neutral position we started class. Stacking head over shoulders, shoulders over hips with a relaxed hip. Relax the hips into the thighs. And then become aware of the structure of the skeleton, that backbone that runs from the tailbone up into the back of the skull. We call it the spine. And see if you can allow the spine to grow taller. So with this postural alignment and tallness and relaxation, you can consciously intervene with the breath in as many different forms as imaginable, thousands of forms. And the way I want you to intervene in today's breath is simply to breathe as gently as you can. breathing so gently that you're trying to let the sound of the breath disappear. Trying to breathe silently. Almost as if you were hiding from someone and you didn't want to reveal your position. You're breathing quietly and slowly, gently. And now notice what happens to the belly. You can even place your hands on the belly gently. You should be feeling an expansion of the belly with each breath in. And a relaxation or flattening of the belly as you exhale. So this is the fundamental yogic breath pattern. Gentle, slow, and deep. Deep as in depth, down in the belly. Now with each new breath, we add the intervention of breathing a little more deeply. Breathe in a little longer while maintaining that gentleness. And it will feel like that double expansion of a balloon, where the lower lung expands initially, and then as the lower lung fills with air, the second chamber, the upper lung, expands. So the expansion moves into the chest. So become aware of this double expansion. Low lung, upper lung. Think of it as a two-part breath. So we're exercising the lung, expanding the lung. From low to upper. Continue to deepen each new breath, just a little bit. So you feel a three-part breath. Low, upper, and then the third part, the collarbones will lift and bring the breath almost into the throat. And then allow the exhale to be slow through the nose. So we're breathing in and out of the nose if possible. Three parts. Lower, upper. Collarbones lift and widen, making a little more room as you expand sideways. And so you feel this three-part breath become three-dimensional. Like a balloon expanding across left and right. Ribs expand laterally under the armpits. Chest expands forward and backwards. and then up and down, from the tailbone to the throat. It's as if the whole body's become a vessel just for breath. The 3-part yoga breath. Sometimes called Dirga Pranayama, the expanded breath. Now, even doing this breath 3 or 4 times a day, just for a few minutes, can create a tipping point for the nervous system to return to equilibrium between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems, to balance out, to feel invigorated and relaxed. And then layer in a 4th dimension. The dimension of sound. Start to restrict the back of the throat as you breathe in. You can do this by lifting the tongue to the roof of the mouth behind the back of the teeth. Starting to create the ocean sound. Ujjayi Pranayama, victory breath. If you start to feel dizzy or lightheaded at all, just dial it back a little bit. So we want to be doing this without strain. On the next inhale, float the arms above the head. Let the palms touch above the head. And then exhale, float the hands down to the side, palms face the earth. So you look like a big, giant bird flying. Palms face the sky as you lift up and inhale. When you fully inhale, exhale, lowering the hands down. So synchronizing the movement with the breath. And the next time you inhale, pause. Hands above the head, interlace the fingers, cross the thumbs, pointer fingers point up. Lean a little bit to the left and reach with the right hand so you're lengthening just the right side. And then switch sides so you're wiggling from hip to hip, sit bone to sit bone. As you wiggle left, you reach right. As you wiggle right, you lift left. Until you feel very, very tall. Now take half a breath in. Hold the breath for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, floating the hands down. Resting the back of the hands, palms face up. Realigning head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And come back to the gentle, slow, relaxed breath. That initial breath we started being aware of, silent. So as if a whole storm has come and gone, we're back to that center of the hurricane. Let each new breath deepen until you reach the 3-part breath. Layer on the Ujjayi sound when you're ready. Add the arms when you're ready, lifting, reaching, touching, floating the hands out like big wings. And this time, looking up as you reach up and dropping the chin to the chest as you come down. So you're starting to add the neck movement to the spine, extending and flexing the back of the neck. And the next time you lift, clasp the hands and reach up, wiggle side to side, lengthen out of the side of the ribs. Bring the arms back. Take half a breath in and hold the breath. 3, 2, and with just the left hand down to the mat, lean to the left, exhale. Reaching over with that right hand, really let the shoulder come away from the neck. Gently turn the eyes to the ceiling and then to the floor. Ceiling. And then floor. Now look up and see if you can locate with your eyes your fingertips. And I want you to draw a big circle with those fingertips so that right arm is drawing the biggest circle you can and your eyes are following the fingertips. Big shoulder rotation. With the breath. And then rotate the opposite direction, keeping eye contact with the fingertips. The next time the hand comes up, reach up, interlace the fingers, cross the thumbs, reach up, wiggle and lengthen each side. Bring the arms back, inhale half a breath and hold. For 3. Now as you hold the breath, I want you to squeeze the butt. I want you to strengthen the pelvic floor in that breath retention. Hold, squeeze. Exhale, release right hand to the floor, lean to the right this time, opposite side. Really reach over, look up to the hands, sky, and then down to the ceiling. Keep bringing that left elbow back so you're not dropping it. And then the next time you look up, locate your fingertips, and you're going to draw a big circle now, keeping your eye on the fingertips. Big movement through the shoulder joint. Stay with the breath. Reverse direction. And the next time you come up, pause, interlace the fingers, cross the thumbs, pointer fingers reach up. wiggle out of the side of the hips, get longer in each side, and then reach, reach, reach. Inhale, half a breath and hold. And this time as you release, bring the left hand behind the back, right hand crosses over the midline of the body. Left shoulder back, look over that left shoulder. What can you see behind you? Notice the impact on your breathing now. Come back to the first breath, the Buteyko breath that we started class with, that diaphragmatic, soft, low, gentle. Let each new breath deepen. Build up to your three-part breath, the expanded breath. Layer on the sound breath, the Ujjayi Pranayama, ocean sound. And as you exhale, turn the head all the way to the front shoulder. So as you begin each breath, start the rotation of the head. And as you finish each breath, you'll be looking over the opposite shoulder. So you're turning the head side to side with the expanded ocean sounding breath. Good. The next time you inhale, release the twist organically, slowly, reaching the arms above the head, interlacing the fingers, wiggling out of the hips, lengthening each side, expanding, and then piercing the sky with that arrow-like hand, that spear thrusting through the sky. Inhale, half a breath and hold. Squeeze the buttocks, lift the sphincter, lift up. And then exhale, slowly twisting to the opposite side, right hand behind the back, left hand crosses over, looking over the back shoulder, coming back to the gentle breath. Start to let each new breath deepen, adding the ocean sounding breath until you come to Ujjayi Pranayama, and then begin rotating the head from shoulder to shoulder in synchrony with the breath. So we're staying with the breath in this practice. Don't be afraid to deepen the breath. Don't be afraid to make a lot of sound with the breath. And the next time you exhale, gently release, unwind, reach the hands above, wiggle out and lengthen through each side, wiggling. Lengthen those arms. Now lift the sphincter, hold the breath. Exhale, release slowly. And come onto all fours. Tabletop. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Spread the hands comfortably. Rotate the elbows forward so you're twisting the forearm and the hands stay nice and planted. Push down with the finger pads, almost so you create a small hollow underneath the palms. Make sure the knees are hip-width distance apart. Look up, arch the back, exhale, round the back. Once again, move at the speed of the breath. Cat and cow. Add the Ujjayi sound. Now add the ankles, so as you come into sacred cow, arching the back, looking up, rotating the elbows, you point the toes. And as you exhale, you round the back and you curl the toes. So the feet become involved. So you're coordinating breath, spine, ankles and feet. Now on the next inhale, extend just the left leg behind you onto the mat. Ball of the foot onto the mat and press out through the heel. So we're coming into the legs for the first time in our practice. We really want to stretch out the calf muscle and the hamstring. Nice strong glute. And now I want you to resume with that left leg extended, cat and cow. Coordinate breath. Bring that knee back in and slowly sink back into the heels. Take the pressure off the arms for a while. Sink back, feeling the quadricep stretch here, opposite to the hamstring. Bring the elbows down and the head down to your mat. Come back to that gentle, slow breath. Fully aware in child pose how that breathing feels. Keep the knees wide so the belly is between the thighs, not pressing into the thighs. Come back to all fours. Cat and cow, synchronizing feet, spine, and breath. On the next exhale, extend opposite leg only, ball of the foot pressing in, coming into the opposite hamstring, opposite calf muscle, really pushing back, and then continue cat and cow movement in that asymmetrical position. Release knees wide, child pose, letting everything relax, letting go. Open and close the hands for a few iterations to release all that grip power we had in the wrists and forearms. And then come back to all fours, this time curling the toes, tightening the wrists and lifting the knees a couple of inches off the mat. Keep the knees bent but push the hips back. So you come into this deeply squatted, knee bent, downward dog type shape and press just the left heel back so you feel the lengthening of the hamstring and the calf in the left leg only. And then you're going to switch, bending left knee, straighten right knee, lengthening the back of the right leg. Now alternate side to side. Walk out your dog. And feel that stretch move through the back of each leg independently, one at a time. Until you feel you want to press both back simultaneously. Now, as you press both heels back at the same time, rotate the upper thighs back as well. So towards each other and back. Bring the shoulder blades together as you reach through the arms and then lift the right foot high to the sky, three-legged dog. Step the right foot all the way to the right wrist and drop the left knee, but keep the hands on the mat. Point the toes of the back leg so you feel this in the hip flexor. And resume your cat and cow here. Synchronize cat and cow with the breath. Become aware that as you do cat and cow, your hips move forward and backward. Become aware that your spine arches and rounds, lifting the head as you come forward, dropping the head as you come backwards, and become aware of your front hamstring. The front hamstring starts to shorten and lengthen. I'm going to recommend you use hands on blocks here and continue the same motion. You don't need blocks necessarily, but I find them a really good prop for this next part of the transition. The next time you round the back, walk the blocks back slowly towards the back foot. And with control, bring the weight down onto the back foot. Lift the toes of the front foot so you get a nice posterior stretch in that front leg. Toes curled back. So hamstring should be feeling it. Now you can take the hands off the blocks and you can walk them forward if that works for you, if the weight on the back foot isn't too severe. So bringing that posterior stretch into the low back as well. You should really feel that in the back of that front hamstring. Bring your hands back to the blocks, press up, take the weight off that back foot and start to walk the blocks towards the front again. curl the toes of the back foot and lift the back knee. So now we're moving the stretch into the back hamstring. Runner's stretch. And try cat and cow here. And once again, notice as you do cat and cow in this runner's stretch, what's happening. You're arching the back and rounding the back, lifting the head and lowering the head, and you'll feel that front hamstring lengthening and shortening. Now the next time you round the back, I want you to bring the back foot forward until you can put the back heel down. Try to have the feet wide on the mat, left foot to the left, right foot to the right, and start to straighten that front leg. Now you'll notice I'm using the blocks here, that helps a lot. So you're getting into the right hamstring now in this preformed pyramid. So keeping both legs straight, bring the left hand to the hip. Keep the right hand either on the block, on the leg, or on the mat. Bring the left shoulder back, so you're really opening up into a twist here, but that right hamstring getting plenty of attention. If you can't feel the right hamstring, just straighten that front leg more. Good. Lift the left hand to the sky, coming into our pyramid. So lengthening the hamstring in a rotation. Now let's counter that rotation, so we bring the left hand down to the block or the mat. Again, the block is great, even a chair would be good here, and bring the right hand to the hip. So we're still stretching that front hamstring, but now the stretch moves into the back calf muscle as well. Look up over that right shoulder, lift up that right hand. And then bring both hands down to the mat or blocks and step back into your downward dog. Lift the left foot high to the sky, three-legged dog. Step the left foot to the left wrist, keep the hands on the mat, drop the right knee. Point the toes of the right foot. So in yin yoga we call this dragon pose. And then come into cat and cow. And cat and cow should give you a nice dynamic stretching in the front hip, the back hip flexor. Once again, become aware of everything that's moving. How the spine flexes and arches. How the back of the neck flexes and arches. How the hips translate forward and backward. Start to exaggerate the forward and backwardness of the hips, so you start to feel that front hamstring stretching out as you round. So you're exaggerating your cat and cow. Now the next time you round, we're going to either with blocks or hands, walk back slowly so the front hamstring lengthens and you take the weight into your hands, slowly coming back onto that back foot, toes curled back. When you feel the weight in that back hip feels safe, you can start to lean forward towards that front foot so the stretch tractions out the low back but also that left hamstring. And come back to your slow, gentle Buteyko breath. Recovery breath here. And then slowly bring the hands back to the mat or the blocks. Start to lift the hips up and walk the blocks or the hands forward. And this time curling the toes of the back foot, lift the back knee. Lift the back knee. So we've got the back hamstring stretching out. Let's try cat and cow in runner's stretch. Now keep the feet wide in runner's stretch. We don't want them behind each other. We want them across the mat as well. That way it's going to keep the hips, the integrity of the hips. And it's also going to prepare you for the balance in pyramid. Once again, notice the movement of the spine from neck to tailbone. Synchronize the breath. And also notice what's happening in your back hip flexor and your front hamstring. Exaggerate the movement until you feel the front hamstring starting to stretch. Now the next time you round the back, you can walk the hands and or blocks backwards and bring that back foot forward till both feet are flat, both feet are parallel. Bring the left hip back, front right hip forward so you feel the stretch in the hamstring. Remember, we're getting into that front hamstring and you should be feeling it in the back calf. Hand positions on mat, shin or block. Right hand hip. Bring the right shoulder back. So you start to formulate and design your pyramid. Now remember, we want that front hamstring stretching, so just be aware of your knee. We don't need to overlock the knee, but we don't want to have it bent so much we can't feel the hamstring. Squeeze the butt. Bring the shoulder back more, look towards the ceiling. Keep your balance with that left hand in the appropriate position. Lift the right hand to the sky. Good. It's a nice hamstring. Come back to your hamstring stretch here, in that front leg. It's also a balanced position. Lower that right hand to the block or the ground or a chair, whatever you're using. Keep it to the right so you balance left hand, left hip. Bring left hip back so you're stretching the front hamstring. Look up towards the ceiling, really come into that revolve twist. Just work your hips a little bit, left hand to the sky. And then slowly come down. Hands to the mat. Step back, downward dog. And then come into high plank. In high plank, drop the knees and lift the feet. Push the hips back a little bit here and drop the elbows, walk the hands back and drop the chest and the chin. So your hips stay up. We call this inchwa. Hug the elbows towards the ribs and then slowly lower the feet and the hips. Come into a more relaxed prone position. Now squeeze the butt, point the toes, really point the toes so you engage the legs are strong, squeeze the butt and start to lift head, shoulders, chest. Squeeze the elbows into your cobra, Bhujangasana. And then exhale, release, stack the hands under the head,